Goku Black's 2M has received a few buffs to it. Before, it was an 11 frame startup low that didn't have too much range. While there were setups that you could create with the character to basically make true 50-50s off of a high and a low, they were sparse and scarce and often relied on him using scramble moves like his Divine Slicer and Neutral in order to set these up. My friend Silver Tabby, who's played the character for years and intensively looks at frame data, can argue that this character could certainly do it off of Super Dash as well. However, I didn't think that it was the most effective at times because it felt like I could pretty much fuzzy high-low pretty consistently just because of this 11 frame startup window. Now the move travels slightly farther, making it a better poke, as well as has a 9 frame startup now. This definitely means that this gives Goku Black true high-low mix-ups in a lot of universal situations, making the character a threat like Jiren because his low is always a medium starter and not a light. Just even looking at this, I can tell how much more fluid this feels to look at overall, since I've had to fight this character for the past several years at my locals. So, Goku Black is definitely going to be opening up people a lot more often now. Compare it to before, and you might see the same differences I do. This 2M being better also means that Goku Black's level 3 mix-ups are also incredibly even more important than before, especially considering the fact that he can now also just teleport down straight to the ground and catch an opponent off guard. I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for a lot more layers to Goku Black's level 3 setups. Goku Black's 5S has reduced recovery. As you can see here, as the Ki Blast speeds by the opponent, Goku Black is now -3 on block. On hit, there's about 20 frames of advantage that he has in the current patch. In the old patch, this was the numbers. He was -6, so effectively unsafe if you had a perfect mash opportunity on him. Additionally, on hit, 17 frames of advantage to work with here. This could potentially open up some new links for him, though in the corner I haven't been able to make a 5L or anything like that link with the character. More often than not, I think that this basically means it's just going to be safer for Goku Black to use this in pressure, as well as at full screen and neutral. Goku Black's 2S sees several changes to it. There's adjusted projectile speed, knockback on hit against mid-air opponents, as well as increased stun time against mid-air opponents. However, in my testing, I've been able to appreciate the difference in stun time. This 5H2S is oftentimes what Goku Black will use in his corner combos, and as you can see in the current patch, you have about 31 frames of advantage in this situation. This is the frame data from the old patch. As you can see, it's still 31 frames, but I think largely this has to do with the fact that the character is touching the ground pretty much immediately in this situation, and so you're going to get the same tech timing here. I haven't been able to figure out a way to make this link while the opponent is slightly higher in the air, though. The more noticeable change when it comes to 2S is going to be when you do a 1S version. As you can see, when you 2S with Goku Black, he slightly advances forward. However, when he goes backwards, he kind of floats up awkwardly like this. This is how this 1S now behaves. As you can see, Goku Black takes a huge leap backwards, actually, creating quite a bit of distance from the opponent. This can be a good retreat tool against some characters, I would say. Courtesy of Dan Frong here, we can see that Goku Black has some potential new corner routes with this. However, according to my friend Silver Tabby, they're not optimal. Against an opponent that's overly respectful, there's also some potential to go for some gimmicky mix-ups. Taking advantage of the new 2M range, of course. Like the rest of the cast, Goku Black is able to cancel his jump specials into jump heavies. He'll appreciate being able to add on an extra Ki Blast worth of damage and bar build in some of his combos. I also like to mention that I think it's worth pointing out that Goku Black makes particularly aesthetically pleasing use of the sparking changes that allow him to cancel special moves into special moves. I think that many of these are going to be really good routes for him to try and TOD you with, as well as just looking like this. At some point, of course, it does devolve into the usual tech that we see when it comes to these sparking cancel routes, which is just one version of a special move into the other two versions of it to maximize the damage on it. But there's a few interesting moments throughout at the very least that I at least think look better than others. Like many other C assists, the startup has been reduced on his. As you can see, it's 40 frame startup in the current version. And this was the old startup. 45 frame startup, so a 5 frame difference. Ultimately, since he already has a good A assist with his beam, as well as a strong lariat style assist with his B assist, I don't really think you're going to see more Goku Black players gravitate towards his C assist for this utility alone. Overall, Goku Black didn't receive too much in this patch, but I also can't understate how important it is that he now has a 9-frame low in his kit that basically opens up to a whole new world of potential true 50-50s for him. It is possible to do it before the character, but they always felt finicky and often enough just reactable enough in some cases for it to be less successful than how it should be when it comes down to truly guessing against a 50-50. I'm interested to see what the character has going forward for him. I think he makes good use of the sparking changes and some of his combo routings, effectively more so than maybe some other characters, or again, at the very least, visually, like I mentioned before. But also, we'll see what his new 2-esque properties are able to bestow upon the character as well. I wasn't able to pull too much with it. If there's any Goku Black main out there that's able to give me some extra information, I'll be sure to include it in a follow-up video I'll do after I go through the entire cast of characters. There's potential here for Goku Black to be a pretty strong anchor in this patch off the 2M change alone, as the characters receive many of his most important buffs in previous versions of the game. I think he's a strong character in this patch. Look forward to seeing what people cook up with him.